guys. Welcome to another week of music and learning and fun. We're just gonna jump right in. We're gonna switch gears a little bit from last week because I debated back and forth whether we were gonna try to do kind of go over what we had talked about the week before we went into quarantine. So our last week together, we talked about a certain ballet by a certain composer. And I want to know if you guys remember who it was by and what the ballet was called. It had a certain lady in the ballet that we saw in our classroom when we watched it together. So I'm just going to tell you, obviously, but the ballet is called the Firebird. Does that kind of ring a bell a little bit, maybe? And I don't know if you guys remember, but the composer was Igor Stravinsky. What I want you to remember is Stravinsky. And he wrote the ballet, the Firebird, and he was a Russian composer, and this was back in the early 1900s. So yeah, it was performed in 1910. So long ago. How many years ago is that? Maybe you could do a little math and tell me. But yeah, so I'm just going to go over really quickly the story of the Infernal Dance. Do you guys remember what we watched in our classroom? We watched the Infernal Dance. I'm just going to briefly go over what the preface of the dance and what that was about. And then we're going to do a little activity, or you guys are going to do a little activity. So I'm going to link this worksheet. It actually comes with the first page right here, and it talks a little bit about Stravinsky and about the Firebird, and about, it kind of prefaces the whole thing. And then this is the actual story of the Infernal Dance, actually the whole story of the whole thing. So, real quickly, I'm just going to go over the Firebird. It says it's based on a Russian folktale. So, in the tale, there was the wizard or the mystical being named Koshke, right? Do you remember that? He was a demon that could not be destroyed. Nobody could destroy him. So, he had a lot of the kingdom under a spell. So then there was a hero named Prince Ivan, and he was out one day and he went into a garden that had this beautiful big tree that had golden fruit on it. And out there he knew that there was this thing called the Firebird that was a mystical creature that nobody was able to catch. So he ended up going out to that garden and catching the Firebird. And the Firebird asked for her freedom. And so he said, in exchange for your freedom, I am going to, hi Farah. I am going to, we're going to make a deal. And if you come, so she gave him one of her magical feathers. Hold on, let me find where it says. So it says he's able to capture the bird, but lets it go in return for one of the feathers. So she gives him one of the feathers and says that if you need any help at some point, you use this feather and I will come and help you. And so that was the deal that they made. And then he ends up finding some princesses, right? Do you remember that in the story? He finds some princesses and he falls in love with one of the princesses. However, these princesses are under Koshke's spell. Do you remember that? So then he has to go to Koshke and talk to him and see if he can get permission to marry one of those princesses that he fell in love with. And then they talked and then they argued, and then Koshke got really upset with Prince Ivan. And then he decided to send all of the mystical creatures after Prince Ivan to catch him and turn him to stone. And so when we talk about the Infernal Dance, that's when the Infernal Dance starts, is when the mystical creatures are chasing after Prince Ivan and he's about to be turned to stone, and then he uses his magical feather and summons the Firebird, and she comes. And do you remember what she makes them do? She makes all the magical creatures dance, including Koshke. She makes them all dance this really elaborate, intense dance, and they do crazy jumping and all that stuff. And it makes them all super tired after a long time of dancing that they all what? Do you remember? They all fall asleep. So they all fall asleep. And then Prince Ivan is able to figure out, the Firebird tells him that Prince Ivan's power or whatever is in a big egg. And so he goes and he cracks the egg and he kills Koshke and frees everybody from the spell. The end. Cool, right? So what I wanted to do was just talk a little bit about, I have linked in this video, I have linked the YouTube video that we watched in class. I want you guys to watch it again. You don't have to watch all of it. It's just the first, I think it was like 4 or 5 minutes or something. And then you can explain to your parents what you're seeing. And you can talk about like what ballet is. We've talked a lot about ballet and about how you can portray a story using dance and music. So definitely look at that and talk about that with your parents. And then I want you to try to do this activity on the worksheet that I am going to give you. So you're going to cut out all these characters that we have here on this worksheet. We have Koshke, the evil wizard. He's much uglier in the video, if you guys remember. And then here is Prince Ivan, the hero. Here is the princess that he falls in love with and wants to marry. And here is the Firebird. Firebird looks a little bit different. Actually, all the characters look different in the actual performance of the ballet. And so I want you to look at those and remember the differences. And then, so cut them all out and attach them to some sort of stick, whether it's a popsicle stick or a straw or even forks or spoons or whatever you guys have available at your homes. Tape them to that so that you create like little puppets of your own, and try to reenact the story for your parents or for your siblings or for just yourself, whatever. I just want you guys to go over the story, remember the story, and then if you want to draw, like you can do your own drawing of the story or of what it makes you feel of the actual Infernal Dance part of the story. So when the Firebird comes in and makes them all do the dance and they all fall asleep, all that stuff. I would like it if you guys could draw all that. That's what we were going to do in our class time. If you want to do that, that would be great. And you can show me them or whatever. I would love to see them. Yeah, and so that is the end of our lesson. So I have the worksheet and I have the YouTube video. So just go over the YouTube video, do the worksheet, cut it out, reenact the story, and then draw me a picture of how it makes you, or of the story, or of how, whatever really you want to draw a picture of that has to do with this story that we were just learning about and talking about today. Anyway, I hope you guys have a lovely week. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I love you all, and I will talk to you later. Bye.